The const keyword declares variables that are block scoped, just like let. We mentioned this previously, and as you probably well know, the purpose of const is to create a constant, a variable that cannot be reassigned. Now, that reassignment of a variable is an important distinction. Reassigning is not the same as mutating. Let's take a look at this distinction. I'm going to resize Visual Studio Code, and let's go ahead and display the console here, because we're going to try a few things just to show how this works. So first thing I want to do is create a const num and assign it a value 3.14. Then we have lots of code, and sometime later on in our code we try to reassign that. Like that. What does that do? Well, that causes an error, as we can see. Uncaught type error, assignment to constant variable. So it doesn't allow us to do that. And that's the assignment or the reassignment that I'm talking about. Once we've assigned a value to a variable, a constant variable, we cannot reassign that. Now, I'm going to comment out that would work the same with other data types as well. Let me go ahead and enter an array here. Bunch of scores is what we've got going on here. Let's add one more. So we have an array here. Now, notice that we cannot reassign that to something else, to a new array. Maybe we have a subset of those scores that we want to assign to it. Something like that. If we save that, we get the same error. JavaScript line 10, that's where we're getting the error. Won't allow us to reassign. So we can't do that. However, because an array is an object, we can mutate it. We can mutate objects in JavaScript. So we could do something like this. We could do scores 4 and change that to 90. Now if we save that, no error. And if we take a look at scores, we can see that it did reassign a new value here. So we're able to mutate that array. We're able to change this value here. We can also add additional scores to this. So we could simply do a scores.push and add a 65. And we don't get an error there. Now when we look at the scores array, we have a 65 at the end. So that's the distinction I want to make for constants. The reassignment of a variable is not allowed. We'll get an error with that. However, that does not prevent us from mutating objects. An array is an object, regular JavaScript objects, functions, whatever the case may be, we can still change the properties or add to without getting that error. So something to be aware of. All right, let's move on.